Start first with a quick little update here. Earlier this morning, the president spoke with President Putin. They had a very good discussion, spoke for a little over an hour. They discussed nuclear agreement.
Sir? Down in front. Oh, sure. Really using that bush.
Yeah, thanks.
Sir?
How do you spell Contreras? My caption?
Yeah. Who are you working for today? Oliver Contreras at SIPA. Here we go.
Heads up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Hey, I'm going to actually start first with a quick little update here. Earlier this morning, the president spoke with President Putin. They had a very good discussion, spoke for a little over an hour. They discussed nuclear agreements, both new and extended, with the possibility of having conversations with China on that front as well. They discussed trade and the fact that it has increased between the two countries since the president has come into office. They also talked about North Korea. They also spoke about Ukraine and Venezuela, and overall a very positive conversation. And we'll have a more detailed readout coming shortly, but wanted to give you guys that update while I was out here.
Sir,
Steve?
What are the details of this new nuclear agreement? Is it a new nuclear agreement with China, Russia, United States?
There was a discussion about having extending the current nuclear agreement, as well as discussions about potentially starting a new one that could include China as well.
Sir, what was
Sure.
In that conversation with Ms. Putin, there is a chance that both governments can negotiate something to reach the freedom in Venezuela.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm a local station in Venezuela. Early this week, the State Department said that Russia ruined the plans for the transition in Venezuela. Now they spoke, so there is a chance that United States negotiate against the Nicolas Maduro regime, do something to reach the freedom there.
Yeah, the president's primary focus throughout the call was about helping the people of Venezuela, making clear that the United States stands with the people of Venezuela, and the importance of making sure those individuals are able to get the food and the water and the medical supplies needed. The president reiterated that sentiment several times throughout the call.
Did the president discuss at all the findings of the Mueller report and Russian interference as it was determined by that investigation? And did he also discuss some of the land-based offenses in Europe?
Very, very briefly, was discussed essentially in the context of that it's over and there was no collusion, which I'm pretty sure both leaders were very well aware of long before this call took place, something we've said for the better part of 2.5 years, and now they moved on to talk about those topics that I discussed with you.
On Russia. Did Putin relay any message to the president from Kim Jong-un after Putin and Kim met during their summit?
They spoke about North Korea for a good bit of time on the call, and reiterated both the commitment and the need for denuclearization. And the president said several times on this front as well the need and importance of Russia stepping up and continuing to help and put pressure on North Korea to denuclearize. And that was, again, the focus of the president's comment on that front. Steve, sorry, I may keep going. Steve?
There was a meeting at the Pentagon this morning with the president's top-level national security officials about Venezuela, apparently looking at military options. Has the ball moved on that in the past couple of days?
As we've said all along, all options continue to be on the table. We're looking at a number of different fronts. I don't have any new announcements or change in direction. We continue to stand with the people of Venezuela, and the president is continuing to push for aid to be delivered to those people. Beyond that, I don't have any updates, but all options continue to be on the table. And the president's going to do what is required if necessary.
Thank you, Sarah. Turkish press is reporting that the president has accepted an invitation to make a visit to Turkey and meet with President Erdogan there in June, and yet no one in the White House confirms it. Is he confirmed to actually make a state visit to Turkey?
No announcements on that front at this point. Certainly, the president and Erdogan have had a good relationship, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have a meeting at some point, but nothing to announce today.
There's a 9 a.m. deadline now from Chairman Nadler on the release of the unredacted Mueller materials. Does the administration have any comment on that? The letter sounded a bit conciliatory, though he's not giving up on the idea.
Well, I think that that's probably the only step Nadler has is at this point to be conciliatory. I think he saw how ridiculous and silly that he and his delegation looked yesterday. This has been an outrageous 2 years of accusations against the president, and they can't seem to let that go. I think it's very interesting that he's fighting for the release of more of the report when he nor none of his Democrat colleagues have actually taken time to go and read the less redacted version that is sitting down the hall from them. It is astonishing to me that not a single Democrat has yet to go read the less redacted version of the report, yet they keep asking for more. It shows what the president has been saying, that he was right all along, that at no point will it ever be enough. The Democrats have no message. Their only option and their only strategy is to attack the president. At some point, I think that they're going to have to realize it's not working and it's time to move on.
So on the conversation between the president and Putin, talking about Venezuela, Russia's been very supportive of the Maduro regime. Did the president make any progress on getting them to step off that support or help with the transition?
Again, the president reiterated the need for a peaceful transition, and his focus throughout the conversation was on the need to help the people and make sure that the aid was actually getting to them and being delivered. Take one last question here.
The White House formally instructed Don McGahn not to comply with congressional requests.
I'm not aware of a formal conversation on that front. Thanks, guys.
Let me ask you real quick. Who initiated this call, and is it any closer to these President Trump and Putin meeting for a summit down the line? And then secondarily, what was the response from Putin when the president talked about the need to engage in a peaceful transition?
I'm not aware of any planned meeting upcoming for the two presidents, but I do know that Secretary Pompeo is expected to meet, I believe, with his counterparts next week, and those conversations after that, we'll see what happens from there.
See, you'd said that they talked about the Mueller report being over, but the Mueller report also outlines in extensive detail attempts by Putin and Russia to interfere in the election. Did that not come up at all in that?
Again, the conversation on that part was very quick, but what I can tell you is that this administration, unlike the previous one, takes election meddling seriously, and we're going to do everything that we can to prevent it from happening. That's why we've taken a whole of government approach. We have had contact with all 50 states and are looking at ways to actually prevent it from taking place instead of like they did in 2016, just letting it happen, knowing about it and doing nothing and then trying to blame it on the incoming administration. We're not going to let that happen, and so we're going to actually be serious and take our job seriously. Thanks.
Let me get on this first.
Hey.